Did you know that your power meter could lie to you? Taylor, tell us what that's all about.
Corrupt data is the enemy of the power-based cyclist. You can use tools like Training Peaks and WKO4 to find those bad power spikes, particularly if you're using something like a left-sided power meter. Justin, don't you have a left-sided power meter?
Why, yes I do. And if you have a left-sided power meter, there's a nugget of information you definitely need to know. So watch the show to find out what it is.
Throwing back and forth. Webb has to catch that wheel. How much does he have left in the tank? His heart rate is definitely going up, but this guy can put down some watts. His watts per kilo is fabulous. We are coming into the close of this race. Justin Wagner sitting on the wheel of his rival now. Adam Webb coming around, jumps on the wheel of Adam Boyko. They are starting to ramp it up, but Wagner goes 12.0 watts per kilo. Webb jumps on his tail here. We are seeing exciting stuff happening here as they come to the end here. Big finishes as they lock in here. We see this amazing view. Webb trying to catch on. He is closing the gap on Wagner. Wagner all out. Can he do it? Can he come up to this line? Webb on the tail. He's coming up. Wagner, it looks like he made, yes, and he passes him. Webb takes it from him at the end. Unreal. What an amazing finish. The king dethroned.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to another episode of What's Up with Power. My name is Justin Wagner with Team ODZ. We're here to help you learn the basics of power-based training so you can take your training to the next level. We've got a group ride queuing up in Zwift here on the side. We've got about 3 minutes for that to roll. I'm going to be sending the participants some messages here while you're joining the live stream. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, Mixer, Twitch, also on ZwiftInsider.com. If you would like to ask questions during the live broadcast, I'd suggest dropping them in the Discord text chat or Facebook. That'll be the easiest way for me to respond. We'll have about 15 or so minutes of teaching, followed by 15 minutes of questions and answers. So if you've got any questions, you can let them fly during the teaching. We'll get to them at the Q&A session or however that works out for you. So now some is here. And you may, I guess if you're watching you probably already know how to find live video for you to hear me. I think we've had some issues this morning with some of our links to get to our live content, but should be decently now. So we're about 2 minutes out from the start. Today's topic is going to be how to build your own training plan. I'll be the presenter today and help you get a feel on, wanted to kind of build out your own training plan, how to peak, playing around some events, put that together. That's what we're going to cover today, talking about building training plan. So we'll wait until we actually start the group ride in Zwift, start the teaching. So we're about 60 seconds out. So want to join the group ride? Just hop on Zwift and it'll be in the event list. Watts up with power. We roll at a nice 1.5 to 1.8 watts per kilogram. So nice, easy, slow pace. I guess it's all relative, but stick together. And the main point of the ride is to watch the video and to learn. There will be a recording afterwards. So catch up or can't quite stay for the whole thing, definitely make them all available. The recordings are available on Facebook as well as YouTube. We have a playlist on YouTube with all of the archived videos, as well as on our website. If you go to teamodz.com, go under rides, you'll see Watts Up with Power. There'll be an archive page there that just has basically a link to the YouTube playlist. So we'll get group ride rolling here. I will send out messages to the group. My power has a message here. There's a screen. I will switch over watching the Facebook video so I can catch questions as they come in. Hey. That audio, okay. Alrighty. Switch over my scenes. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about building your own training plan. So if you may be watching this afterwards, you got some questions, you want to hop out on the forum, we've got a nice forum discussed at endurancelab.fit where we discuss some of these topics in more detail. So it'd be useful if you've got maybe a more detailed question you want some follow-up on afterwards. If you're watching the recording, you want to get some more questions answered, that's where we would suggest heading. So, okay, what is the outline? How do we approach this from the 10,000 foot level? How do we build our own training plan? So we're going to start from the base. We're going to pick some events. Next step up, we're going to build some structure around those events. Okay, and then after that, finally, we are going to work on weekly specifics. So that is the 10,000 foot view of how this is going to play out. So unpicking events, build this out here. Back one side. Okay, So in the highest level, what are we training for? What are we building a plan for? It's typically around some type of event. So you want to settle on what those are. Maybe at this point in time, you already know what those events are, okay? Maybe earlier in the season, maybe you're kind of debating it, but first thing to do is basically get them on your calendar early. And one of the reasons I say early is because none of us live in isolation. We all have work, family, whatever our other constraints are, and we got to work around those things, put these things on the calendar. So have that conversation early, because some of these events may require some travel. So getting planned with your family, that's kind of key, right? If you can't make it to the event, there's no purpose in training for it. So and lastly, these events you pick should be somehow tied to your annual goal. So let me send one messaging here to the group. So maybe your annual goal is just simply to complete one of those events. That's possible. Maybe your annual goal is to go a certain distance, have some race results. Whatever that goal is you pick for the year, let's make sure these events are building towards that. Apparently, I'm having all sorts of power dropout issues this morning. Got to get my... Anyways, neither here nor there, but that's what's going on in the event right now. So, okay, so we picked some events, we've talked to our family, figured out how we're going to get there, whatever it may be, and and then we're going to build some structure around those events. Okay. So, is sound okay? Pat and Adam, if you want to let me know on the Facebook feed if my sound is okay on the live stream. Sounds like I had a little bit of a sound drop. I want to know if that's still an issue or not. No? So when you're building your structure around your first event, you basically need to look at, okay, how long do we have till our first event? And then we want to look at the gaps in between those events. Okay, thanks for the feedback, guys, on the sound. I'm going to send a message in the game here because I'm having some power meter issues, or some ANT plus reception issues. Okay, so we're going to basically look at these gaps, look at our time frames, look at how much time is in between the events, okay? And then basically, we're going to start to build periodization around the structure. Okay, what does that mean? So let's say we've got a 10-week period of time in between a couple events, or our first event is in 10 weeks. We're not just going to go train hard consecutively for 10 weeks. We need to basically have some harder weeks and then some easier weeks. Okay, that's basically what periodization means. So, going harder, easier. So that's what I say here. Basically, we're going to look for something around 2 to 3 weeks that are harder, followed by an easier week. So what I would say, once you've got your events down on the calendar, you know where they fit, then you start to pick out weeks and say, like, okay, this week is going to be a hard week, easy week, hard, easy. Okay, so we're basically just labeling out the weeks. We're almost just looking at a timeline of when events are happening, when training weeks are. We're picking out hard week, easy week, hard week, easy week. Now, we're going to need to get some more definition to what a hard week means, and what an easy week means. But this is step one, lining it out, building it out, and saying, okay, I know that I really shouldn't be going hard for more than, say, 2 to 3 weeks. So kind of build that into training plan. Okay. All right. So then once we've gone out and I must have forgot to put my phone in airplane mode. No, it's not that, but what happened was my power meter dropped just because I had left my USB extension on the ground. It got sweaty. Yeah, it doesn't connect very well. I've got a replacement coming. Now my Amp Plus receiver is much further away than it used to be. That's why we're having power drop issues. Okay, back to the relevant issue at hand. So we're going to be assigning target TSS or training load for each week. Okay, so we've talked about that. We kind of know what TSS is. If you've seen the previous episodes, I'd highly recommend going back. If you don't know what TSS is, this might be, just think of it as how hard you went that week, and it's based on your power profile, your FTP, workouts. So, let's see. Easy here. All right, so we talk about a ramp rate. Okay, so we're going to be picking TSS to get a ramp rate of like 6 or below. That's a general guideline. Doesn't mean you can't go above it. I mean, you have to hold it. That's a and what does ramp rate mean? Ramp rate means your change in fitness, or what's measured as CTL, chronic training load. So the change from, say, one Sunday to the next, assuming we're just looking at full weeks, so 7-day change, if over 6, probably not gonna be able to sustain that for very long. You could hold 6 probably for a few weeks, and then need a recovery week. But if you start pushing it up to like 10, you're going to start fatiguing very fast. Now, some of that could be if you're just starting with power data and you don't have an accurate baseline to start from, and your CTL in the model is much lower than it actually is, then you could definitely see high ramp rates to start with. But once you've had power data for, say, 2-3 months, that shouldn't be an issue. Okay, so we're going to assign a target TSS to each week. We got to look at our events in the schedule from those weeks, match them to overall goal. Okay, and okay, yeah. So I'm talking about events here. I mean, for each week. Okay, sorry, I got myself confused when I was reading this. We're going to be filling in the workouts for each week. So on a weekly specific, we're going to know how much TSS we're targeting that week. Now, not all TSS is created equal. I actually think I want to put together an episode on that topic right there. I think it's a good one. But basically, how you build out that TSS in the week, what workouts you do, can affect what your end result is. So just, in other words, just the CTL you end up with it's not a full picture of the type of cyclist you are. A track racer and a road racer have completely different training styles, intervals they're going to be working on. So, but basically, once you've got a target for a number of TSS in a week, you got to basically fill that out. So how you get those workouts, you could be building them with ones in Zwift, ones you build yourself, fill it in with some zone 2 endurance work. But that's all meant to, you've got basically your overall goal for the week of, okay, I have to get this much training load in. Now, how am I going to build that? We can probably not get into it today, but talk about what would you know, if I just did zone 2 endurance riding to get my amount of TSS all the time, and I wanted to race, most likely not going to have the surginess you need to respond to attacks in a race. So that's kind of what we're talking about. That's why you need to pair it with threshold work, SST, VO2, specific intervals. Okay. So now, so we've talked about having a hard week and an easy week. So how do we define what a hard week is in terms of numbers? So start from what your current CTL is. So let's say we're at the beginning of this week. We have a CTL of 50, 50, okay? So that number basically means how much TSS you can do, that you need to do per day to keep your fitness constant. So if you have a CTL of 50, you need to average 50 TSS per day to keep your fitness. Or if you want to raise your fitness, you need to do more than 50 on average per day. So in that example, per week, 350 TSS in a week if your CTL is 50. Okay? If you have a hard week, you need to shoot above that number to push CTL up. When you notice CTL, as you push it up, it then also changes the TSS you need to do in a week. So this is why you need to kind of stay on top of this. It's something that's constantly changing. If you just picked at the beginning of the season and said, hey, look, my hard weeks are 700 TSS, my easy are 300. If you just played that out all season long, you wouldn't necessarily get as much gain as you want. Your hard weeks actually will need to go more TSS as the season progresses because your CTL is going up. And so to push your CTL up by 6 points in a week, you have to do more TSS in that week. Okay. Okay. What workouts should I add to the week? Okay, we talked a little bit about this, that not all TSS is created equal. There are lots of ways to grab workouts. Zwift has a large library of them. I think what's on Zwift.com has a pretty extensive index of a lot of different ones. Or there's plenty of, getting a coach would build these out for you. We offer the Endurance Lab training plans where we build out and give you weekly specifics. You can use those directly as they're given, or you can use them to build your own training week based on the TSS you're shooting for that week. Okay, but having quality built workouts to build your training plan is highly beneficial, especially ones that are built by coaches who know what they're doing. You need both a good quality workout as well as a quality workout at the right time, given where you're at in your training. So having coaches is helpful for that. Not obviously necessary, but you can self-coach. That is always an option. But that's what you're gonna do for each week. Now, last thing I want to cover here before you get into Q&A. Life happens, plans change, you get sick, whatever it might be. So just you need to constantly review where you're at. You may need to readjust which weeks are hard weeks, which weeks are easy weeks. You may need to adjust each week what your TSS should be for hard weeks. Okay, so this is it's not just you can't, the days of being able to just say, well, maybe if your whole life revolves around your training and you have no other constraints, maybe you can build your plan on January and just execute it. And just to the T, nothing ever comes up. That would be nice if that were true, but for most people, it's probably not true. But so we've had on here before Dennis Cotreau from Beretta Networks. Okay, they build a tool that does this, as well as Training Peaks has their annual training plan tool. The big difference, I'd say, between what you're going to get in the annual training plan tool in Training Peaks and Beretta is that a Beretta is much easier to adapt as things change as you go along. Doesn't mean you can't do it in Training Peaks, but that would be the big differentiator. You can play out different scenarios, really hand manipulate finer details of your annual training plan. So there you go. If you want to check that tool out, berettatraining.com. I think it's a useful tool. I'm actually personally using it for building my training plan. I self-coach. Dennis doesn't pay me to say this. I've paid for it myself. I feel like for me, it's a tool that is definitely useful. Maybe it's not the right price point for everyone, but if you're basically just explained how to do this yourself, even without such a tool. So, all right. So in summary, you want to know, you're basically trying to figure out how hard do I need to go in each week, and that depends on when your events are, when you need to taper, when you need to peak. That boils down to a certain TSS in each week. You're going to have harder weeks, you're going to have easier weeks. You want to apply those so that you basically push up your fitness, and then you take an easier week so that your fatigue can leave, and you'll lose a little bit of fitness. But the main point is you'll lose the fatigue, so you can basically start with another set of training weeks that are hard with an increased CTL. And you're building up, you want that CTL to be moving up and up and up each week, okay? And as you push that up, you want to monitor ramp rate. General guideline is around 6. So an increase of 6 CTL in a week is kind of a good target to shoot for. And I'd say in terms of, the flip side of this is, if you want to know how easy a rest week should be, this is talking about you're going up, right? How hard should I push up? We also need to know how much should I back off. And I'd say you're actually probably going to lose about 3. So this I haven't studied this across many people. For me, it's worked out that I'm typically losing about 3 CTL on a rest week, and that's fine. Biggest thing is that you're losing a ton of acute training load. So your fatigue to drop. Basically, if you're doing 3 weeks hard, 1 week easy, what you want is at the end of that 4th week is your TSB to be somewhere around 0. Okay, you're gonna basically each week you're gonna keep pushing your TSB more negative, and then you're gonna take an easy week and it's gonna pop back up about around to 0. Okay, but you have now a higher CTL and then you start over again. That's the concept. Okay, so what do we have for upcoming presentations? Next week, April 11th, we're gonna have Nate Dunn on the show talking about which power meter should I get. Should be a good presentation. I've historically presented on this. It'd be really interesting to hear Nate's perspective. And then on the 18th, I'm going to do a roundup of the last 3-4 months of topics, give you a high-level overview. Okay, and then from the April 25th to June 20th, we'll be taking a short break from What's Up with Power. We got some traveling going on, so we won't be having episodes, so just be aware of that. So April 25th, June 20th, I'm going to be traveling for various races, family commitments, whatnot. And so follow me on Strava if you want to see a little bit of those races I'll be participating in. And okay, so now we're to our Q&A session. Got quite a few things on Facebook here I'll follow up on. If you're watching the replay, you can ask questions in 2 ways. Go to discuss.endurancelab.fit, or you can send us an email at wuwp@teamodz.com. So here, what do we got? Martin Walker. So the answer isn't to ride at FTP for 2 hours a day for 7 days in a row. Yeah, that's correct, Martin. So that one thing we actually didn't even talk about in here is, so even, you've got hard week and easy week, but even within the week, you probably should be conscious of the number of hard days in a row in the week. If you can kind of do mini intervals in the week, let's say we're doing 2 days really hard, 1 day off, 2 or 3 days hard, 1 day off, or whatever, that really helps because it gives you even just another quick regroup or rebuild during the week. So that obviously depends on how many days a week you're training, but I usually break my weeks up into kind of like 2 different halves. I'll go Monday, Tuesday hard, Wednesdays I'll teach this class and it's a off day for me, and I'll go Thursday, Friday, Saturday hard, take Sundays off. So that's, everyone's gonna have a different plan, and what days you go hard and which days you go easy probably depends on work schedule, family commitments, right? All those things. So something you want to pay attention to. So, yep, exactly. So if you're at 90 CTL, multiply that by 7. That means you need 630 TSS in a week to stay constant. So that's what Martin was picking up. So if you know where your CTL is, if you're on Training Peaks, you can just log in and it'll tell you, multiply that by 7, and that's what you should be doing each week. Just stay constant, okay? Not for hard weeks, it's not an easy week. Let's just say you're trying to hold even. That's what you'd have to average. Okay. Want to give a quick shout out for the race I'm promoting, a little shameless plug here. So we're putting on an in real life race, the Liberty Road Race in Spangler, Washington on July 28th. If you like racing your bike, want an event to put on your schedule that want to build a schedule to train for, here you go, July 28th. And pretty flat course. It's about a 30-mile loop, and different categories will be doing it varying number of times, anywhere from 1 to 3 laps. Cat 4, Cat 5 will be 2 laps, so 60 miles. Okay. So if you are anywhere near the area or want to come in for it, definitely check it out. Registration is open. Early bird registration ends at the end of April. So save yourself money, register early. Let's see what else we have here on the slides. Okay, so that's it for the slides. If we have any more questions now on Facebook, make sure, let them fly. We've got a few more minutes in the group ride. If we don't have any more questions, I'll probably tie up the live feed, but keep the ride going. So I'll just give it a minute or two to see if there's any questions. I want to thank everyone for coming and enjoy it. Hopefully find this useful. Let us know if there's something you don't quite understand, something you wanted to learn more about. Let us know. We're open to the topics. And again, you can do that through the forum or through sending us an email. Okay, the forum is discuss.endurancelab.fit, and our email is WUWP, stands for What's Up with Power, at teamodz.com. Okay, so with that, I'm gonna bring down the live stream. We'll keep the group ride going. Got about 3 minutes left on it, but appreciate everyone coming, all the comments. Hope you find this useful, and I hope you're able to build your training plan out to take your training to the next level, whatever that may be. So thank you so much. We will see you next time.